Well, hello, Redeemer family. My name is Kyle. I'm one of the pastors here, and it's my joy to continue in our study in the Daily Word in the Gospel of Matthew, and we're going to be starting in chapter 26. And so if you've been with us the last few times, we've been through the chapter 24 and 25 is what's known as the Olivet Discourse. And it's sort of a end times future view of what the disciples are saying. Lord, tell us what to expect when the world is coming to an end. And so that's been sort of a fun, but a bit challenging passage to go through and to try to figure out. And many people have different views on that, but I'm trying to stay as close to what we understand about Scripture as possible. But we're going to kind of jump back into the normal gospel directed narrative of the life and ministry of Jesus at this point. So you were going to see some familiar stuff. We're just going to talk through it, and I just want you to see in today's video what I really want you to walk away with. And really in tomorrow's as well, I want to see two things. I want to see the grace of God, and I want to see the sovereign plan of God. Okay? If we understand the grace of God and the sovereign plan of God, then we'll understand why Jesus is telling his disciples what's going to happen, that he is in perfect sovereign control. Nothing of his arrest, nothing of his betrayal, nothing of these plots against him is ever going to be successful unless he allows it to happen. Unless he planned it to happen, and he's walking into it knowing that this is going to bring about salvation for his people. And again, the grace of God built into this, that Jesus is so willingly obeying the Father's will to go and do the work of redemption, to bring about salvation for his people. So the first bit of 26, verses 1 to 19, we see a couple of things. The plot to kill Jesus, his disciples. He had finished saying all these things. He said to his disciples, you know that after 2 days the Passover is coming and the Son of Man will be delivered up and crucified. And they're kind of going, huh? Like, is he speaking in riddles? He's been speaking in parables before. Is this true? And then it says, then the chief priests and the elders of the people gathered in the place of the high priest, whose name was Caiaphas, and plotted together in order to arrest Jesus by stealth, which is not legal. This is all a huge illegal farce. And kill him, that's murder him. But they said, not during the feast, lest there be an uproar among the people. So at least they're kind of pragmatic, right? They're trying to keep the peace while they're committing this atrocious crime. And Jesus goes to Bethany, to the house of Simon the leper, and this woman comes up to him, and this is where she's crying and praying, and she anoints his feet with this oil, this very expensive fragrance. And, they're all kind of being judgmental. Well, she could have used that to feed the poor, huh? Right, Jesus? Isn't that what we do? We work our way to salvation. And Jesus says this very important thing. Why do you trouble the woman? Why are you coming after her? Why are you judging her as being less sanctimonious and self-righteous as you? For you, it says, you always have the poor with you. You can always care for them. But you know what? This woman you won't always have me. She's done me a great service. She's poured this oil on me for my burial. She's preparing me for what is coming. She's showing me honor here, knowing that I'm going to go to the cross. And he says, truly I say to you, wherever this gospel is proclaimed in the whole world, what she has done will also be told in memory of her. This is showing the honor of a person who honored Jesus. And she's kind of getting the picture a little bit better than the disciples. She's weeping over her sin and thanking the Lord for saving her, but weeping knowing this truth that he expressed, that he's the Son of Man is going to be crucified. This conversation would have been happening, gone around among the disciples, and they're trying to figure it out because they think he's going to establish the kingdom then and there, and she's seeing what's going to happen, and she's honoring him for that. And then we go into Judas, one of the 12 named Judas Iscariot went to the chief priests and said, what will you give me if I hand him over to you? And they said, we will pay you 30 pieces of silver. By the way, this is a fulfillment of an Old Testament prophecy from Zechariah 11:13, exactly saying this would happen. And from that moment, he sought an opportunity to betray him. So he's looking for his moment. And it doesn't come until we find out later when Jesus releases him in the upper room and says, go do what you have to do. And Satan enters him and goes, and he does it. And then the last few verses for today, we get into the beginning of the Passover. It says, now on the first day of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus and said, where will you have prepared to eat for the Passover? He said, go into the city into a certain man and say to him, the teacher says, my time is at hand and I will keep the Passover at your house with my disciples." And the disciples did as Jesus had directed, and they prepared the Passover. Jesus is basically an itinerant homeless preacher at this point. Like, he doesn't have really a home base. He's working his way to Jerusalem. He's getting to Jerusalem for the celebration. And now Passover is upon them. And he's demonstrating to his disciples, I am in perfect sovereign control. Not only is the Father in heaven caring for me, I don't need a roof and this and that. I will command whatever I need to happen, and it will happen. Go and find into the city and find a certain man and tell him the teacher needs your house for Passover, and it happened. And so he's demonstrating for his disciples, again, his sovereign plan, his sovereign grace, his care, and letting them know he is in perfect control of what is not only happening, but what is going to happen. And I think as people, as human beings, we need to remember that, and remember that Jesus was showing grace to his disciples because he knew that they would be in great distress as they figured out what was going to happen. And so he's showing kindness and grace to them as their shepherd and their Lord and their teacher. So join us tomorrow as we continue and finish chapter 26. This is kind of some hard things that we'll see, but it's always exciting to read the Gospels, to learn more about Jesus, and to see him sovereignly execute God's plan of salvation for us. So thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.